This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. Still haven't made that transition to Toronto yet, folks. I'm hoping it happens, but um, everything is kind of getting in the way of it right now, but that's okay. I'm here with Skittles, who is not being very ambitious right now. And I'm here still working, and I'm here still doing the show. And I am so excited because today I have a wonderful guest, somebody I have known for, it's been a good 15 years, almost 20 years I've known this person. And I knew her as a musician, but she has branched into being an author, and she's also been in a few movies as well. Folks, I give you my lovely friend, very innovative individual, Bea Waters. How do you do, Bea?
Hi. I'm great today. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
We have known each other. You were giving your intro. I'm quite sure that we met in 2008 because in 2007 I was living in Vancouver and that's where I did the
Mm-hmm.
album. And I came back and I met you like a really, really soon. Like I was born and raised in Fredericton, and
Mm-hmm.
but I had been living in Vancouver running Fat Chance Records. And I came back here and I met you very quickly after coming back. And I came back January 2008. So I'm sure I met you probably in January of 2008. So yeah, it's been like over 16 years. And you're
Perfect.
still as awesome as you've always been.
I don't hear that a lot, but
Well, you're hearing it from me.
yeah, well, you know what? I appreciate that. Now, of course, I know B is your pen name,
Yeah.
you being an author, because I knew you on another name, but that also started with B. So you're staying with the letter B. But you was telling me before we started recording where the pen name Bea Waters came from. So I'd love for you to relay that on here for starts.
Sure. Okay, so my name is Bronwyn, and for as long as I've known, people have shortened it to B. Like that's one of my nicknames is B. So the B Waters is just like B spelled out as a name. And then Waters, the reason that I chose that as my last name for my pen name, it's really important to me. When I was growing up, I was taught that I was a carbon-based life form. And, all of that is really complicated to say. There's a whole lot of carbon in me, and it's really important to how I'm constructed. But looking at the world, I've noticed that I can't eat a chunk of carbon to survive, but I absolutely have to drink water every single day. The rule is you die if you go 3 days, 3 minutes without air, 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food. So if I'm not drinking water on a regular basis, I'm going to die. I am 75% water. So I think that like the reason that I'm taking on Bea Waters as a name is I think it's really important for us, all of us humans, to start to distinguish ourselves as water-based life forms. Water is absolutely crucial to our survival. And when we call ourselves carbon-based life forms, it puts a value on carbon. It makes carbon seem like a very valuable thing. And it is a valuable commodity to people who want to harvest oil and use that as energy source and et cetera, et cetera. So calling ourselves carbon-based life forms has elevated carbon to a value that it really shouldn't have. And so I'm calling myself a water-based life form. And this actually came from all the world building that I did for my novel. All of these alien species in my book are water-based life forms. And I knew that intrinsically. And then I said, well, why am I not a water-based life form? And then I realized I am. So that's kind of where it all came from, was my nickname plus what I really want to elevate in the minds of everybody. Because if we don't have water, we're going to die. And I think if we called ourselves water-based life forms, we'd be much more likely to put a value on water that's much higher than what we do right now. And we wouldn't let people pollute our waterways. We wouldn't let them pollute our rivers. We wouldn't let them bottle our water and call it a commodity and force us to buy it. It's necessary to our survival. That's like telling people that you can't breathe oxygen without paying for it. Like, it's ridiculous. So that's the purpose behind my pen name. Thanks for asking.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, it's great to see you today. I was telling you even beforehand, love the outfit you have on. I love the green and the blue. You're very classy. But yeah. Oh, look at that. I love the clash of colors. Yep. And but no, I've known you for a long time. I don't know where the time goes. But I remember when I first met you, and I've still got it here. I've got a box of CDs. I tried to find your CD. I do have it because I know you have the cover piece of it there where you have a bill, a dollar bill or something
Oh,
covering your.
yeah, I have an American $5 bill taped over my face as if I'm gagged by money. The purpose of that image on the album was called Silent Victim.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there's many ways that we're victimized in our life. And there was a song about date rape, and there was a song about the bullying that I experienced as a child. But then there's also this form of financial victimization that we go through, on a daily basis in order to keep our economy healthy. Like, economy, everybody's worried about the economy. But you can't eat that money. Like, my mother used to say this to my grandmother. She used to like kind of hoard her wealth, and my mom was like, you can't take it with you. What are you going to do, be buried with it? Like, if everything went to shit tomorrow, people who are sitting on piles of gold would starve, and people who have the ability to grow their own food wouldn't. So, I mean, yeah, that $5 bill gagging me on the cover of my album was really kind of a message that you can't be a slave to money, because you can let the money silence you. People can buy your silence, and then what does that do to your character? So I refuse to be victimized by people, by bullies, by money, by all of it. So, but I
I
mean, yeah, that album, I recorded that in 2006. So that was like 17 years ago. Like you say, where does the time go? I don't feel like I'm 17 years older than when I did that album. But like, you know, time moves on and you do other things. And now I've got a book.
mm-hmm. I love the song Eden that
Mm.
you did on that, and of course, I remember the video, and I remember you had the the match lit, with the
Oh, the
fire,
burning
and
rose,
oh,
the burning rose.
that was it. Yes,
Yeah.
it's been a while since I've seen it, and I also loved it at the end of it. At the end of the song, you cackle.
Do you want me to cackle?
Yeah.
That's at the end of the song. It was just something that, like, we were having a really good take, and the emotions were coming out, and I let loose, and my producer was like, oh my god, that's gotta stay in, that's absolutely amazing, we can't take that cackle out. And I resisted it for a while, but he was right. He was right.
Oh, I loved it. That was a great song, and
Cockroach is the one that I'm really stuck on right now. That's song 2 and that was the one. So there's a story behind that song. It actually almost became the theme song for the X-Men 3 movie. But they had, because like if you listen to the song, you read the lyrics, each line sounds like a different X-Men. It's not the way I intended it when I wrote it. But then like when I was like dissecting it, like, where can I market this? It really, really fit. And the chorus is I am human, which is the X-Men are like, we're humans just like you. We have mutations, but we're humans just like you, so treat us with respect. So it really felt like a fit. And the reason that the producers of the X-Men 3 movie said no was because they had gone with score for 1 and 2. That was the only reason. They actually, like, what the music supervisor told me was that they loved the song and they thought it was a great fit, but they wanted the trilogy to have the same type of music through the whole thing. So it's an almost famous story right there.
I like the
But
song
yeah.
brand new as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That one's like a journey. That one's like a yesterday, today, tomorrow. And it's like going through this bad point. And then today I'm going to be a little bit better. And tomorrow the sun's going to shine. And I find writing music, not just writing it, also playing it, but like the writing of it, very cathartic. And so when I wrote that album, I was getting out a lot of demons that I had. So a lot of the songs are very angry. I call it mad chick rock and roll. It's got like elements of like early Alanis and Biff Naked and Evanescence and stuff is what I've been told. Yeah, and it was a lot of fun. But the funny thing is, like, I moved back to Fredericton and I don't play instruments anymore. I sing all the time. Like, I walk around singing and warbling in the shower. But if I picked up my violin, I'd have to practice for a week before I could even play in front of anyone. It's just been like so long since I've played the violin or the guitar that I would be really, really, really out of practice.
I'm so
But yeah,
glad you have that picture that I took of you at the station playing the guitar. I still got those pictures as well, and so yeah, that was awesome. So I saw you play.
that's like one of the only times in my life that I've had short hair. Like my hair right now is super long.
Hmm.
And my hair at that point, like for your podcast people that can't see anything, my hair was like cut to my chin. And my hair is now probably 3 times as long as if it was cut to my chin. I've always had long hair in my life, except for that one little period when I met you, it was on your show. So it's like really a kind of a neat little snippet of my life that nobody's ever going to see again, that you got to see. You got an inside scoop.
And now you are an author, and you got a book out called Perfect Humans. Like it's if we're, or
Project.
no, excuse me, Project Human. I was gonna say there's no such thing as a perfect human. Project Human. Hold that up a little further there so we can see that cover. Because that is a great cover. I love that.
So if you can see the cover, you can
I
see that right behind it is the
mm-hmm.
painting that was commissioned to do this cover. So the cover goes all the way around, and then like that's the other side of the painting. So that's exactly like I actually did the design of this. I didn't paint the painting myself. I
Mm-hmm.
have done paintings in the past, but I didn't paint the painting myself. The painting was done by the talented local artist Jim Middleton. And anybody that wants to find him can go to jimmiddleton.art. That's
Mm-hmm.
his handle on, I believe, Facebook and Instagram. So he's pretty easy to find. He's incredibly talented. He does very realistic life art of people. He's very, very good at like drawing and painting the human body, which is something that I like to paint, but I've always had a hard time with hands and stuff because a lot of people do. Jim is a master and he's actually teaching people art classes as well. So I got to give him a little plug. He
Oh
did this amazing
yes.
book cover for me. So I designed it. I wanted it to be a specific way. I'll just touch on a couple of the elements. You can see this is a scene from the book. Olivia has run away from home and she scraped her ankle on her bike. So she's dropped the bike in the cornfield and she's dancing to try and dance away her blues. And the earth hears her dancing and sends up a spire of energy to dance with her. And that spire of energy goes up through the cosmos, and the aliens see it and they think Project Human is ready and they come to pick her up. The spire of energy, we made it specifically look like DNA because that's very important to the book. Her DNA is very important to her journey. And so every element of this cover was done with absolute purpose. And I wouldn't really recommend an independent self-publishing author to design your own book cover unless you have design work in your history. But I was designing album covers like we were just talking about 17 years ago. And I also do a lot of my own painting. That Stonehenge right there is some of my earlier work. So yeah, I felt very confident in designing it, just not painting it. And then we went and turned it into bookmarks as well.
I
So I
love
was able
that.
take that beautiful cover art and make a bookmark and give it out to people for free. And then on the back, I put a QR code and stuff so that you can find my website. So that's one of my marketing tools is that bookmark.
Oh wow, I love that. That is so creative. How long did it take you to write this?
Well, I originally wrote it as a television series pitch. And so I had it all written out like a TV series Bible. And I went to the Banff Media Festival in Banff, Alberta in 2013. So we're talking 10 years ago, full decade ago.
Oh
And
wow.
I pitched this to a bunch of places. I pitched it to HBO and I pitched it to Fox Studios. And interestingly enough, Fox Studios does everything except the Fox network. So I don't know about now, but back then that's how it was explained to me. But anyway, pitched it to Fox Studios. The VP of development at the time was Matt Lowe's. And he absolutely loved all of the world building and the stories line and how I was explaining it. And he said, if I sign this, I have to put someone else in charge, and that person will do his or her version of this, and it won't be your version. And I can tell that you've got something really cool cooking here, and I want to see your version. So he said, take a look at The Walking Dead, take a look at Game of Thrones, go home and write this as a series of books. And when you have an audience behind this, people like me will be throwing money at you. There will be a bidding war for this because this is really cool. And I thought, wow, that's the nicest rejection I've ever gotten in my life. So I came home and, work daily, the daily grind gets in the way. I had just met the man who's now my husband. So we were just like, I started a, romance with him like 3 weeks before I left for Banff. So it was like, there was a lot of things going on, and I started retooling the outline from the TV show to make it a science fiction book. And I really wasn't happy writing. The TV show was meant for adults. It was meant to be like, Armageddon, but a la TV series or what have you. It was really meant to be like what happens when all these aliens show up to claim us as their science project. And instead, I decided I like to read young adult fiction. I'm really into it. I was really into the Harry Potter series. After like a long time not reading, that got me back into reading. And I've heard that from so many people. And so I said, well, I want to write books for kids, like young adults. So I had to completely, like I had all the world building done, but I had to take the whole storyline and put it aside and start fresh. And so I started outlining. So the process took a long time because like this idea for all of these worlds and stuff existed 10 years ago, but not in a young adult format. And then, so I was working on the outline for quite a while. And in 2021, the contract that I was on for work ended. And I spent a year on EI trying to find more work with the federal government, and I couldn't get back in. And so when that kind of expired, I said, well, I'm going to be self-employed and I'm going to focus on making this into a book. And I had some money saved up, and my husband he's awesome. And he was very cool with that. And he said, yeah, I want you to be able to do this. And so I started kind of, I guess it was April 2022, I opened Almondale Entertainment and I started working on this book hardcore. And I did 25 edits to the manuscript. I'm self-publishing, but I did all the things that you have to do. I had a first reader who gave me feedback and said, maybe you want to do this and that. And then I had beta readers who know science fiction and young adult, and they gave me feedback and I incorporated that in, and then actually got my husband to read it. Normally you don't get family and friends to read stuff, but I really wanted him to read it because he reads a lot of science fiction fantasy and not so much young adult. So he didn't really like the angsty teenage stuff that's in there because that's not his jam. But I mean, that's normal for YA. So he knew that going in, and he gave me some really good advice. He said, you see the good guy at the beginning, and then there's the big showdown at the end, but you don't see him all the way through. And we kind of forget that he's there. So I got to give a shout out to my hubby because he pointed out, I said, well, they don't have a big showdown. He goes, no. Think about Star Wars, okay? Vader has the big showdown at the end, but throughout the movie, we see Darth Vader, being a dickhead, choking his own people. I'm like, ooh. So he gave me that feedback, and I had to go back and put the bad guy, Dr. Wretchen, at a couple of key places throughout the novel so that we remember just what a jerk he is. I won't give anything away because he's a real baddie, but so there were a lot of edits to get this to a place where I wanted it to be. And then I had it professionally proofread and got all the cover art done. And I am ready to launch a Kickstarter campaign in the middle of September. And that's how I'm going to do my launch and try to get the book out to as many people globally as possible. Is I'm doing it on Kickstarter, and my printer, Ingram Spark, has the ability to print and deliver to all over the world pretty much. So it's been a lot of work with the Kickstarter, putting in the shipping for each different country. That's been a lot of work, but I've been trying to be fair. Like countries where it costs a lot more to ship, I'm not going to penalize countries where it costs less to ship. So I've done all the extra work so that people can get the fairest deal possible. And the book's going to be 18 Canadian plus shipping on the Kickstarter. Anybody that like knows me in Fredericton and can get it directly from me, I'm going to give them a break on the shipping because I'm just going to have everything shipped directly to my house. So it'll be 18 plus 2 for shipping. And then the 18 includes all the HST that I have to pay back to the government. So it's not 18 plus HST. The $18 includes the HST, and I'll have to work that back as to, you know, what that 15% equals. But yeah, I'm ready to pull the plug in September. I'm really excited about it.
You know what? And I know you have a mind for this. I haven't given this away and I never revealed it. I kept this a secret, but I remember I remember this so well, you telling me that you had an idea for a Trailer Park Boys movie.
Oh,
And I never gave it away. I never ever did, but I thought it was brilliant, you know? And if your book has got that same kind of brilliance, then this is going to be a great read.
well, if Clattenburg or like, you know, Jean-Paul Tremblay, Rob Wells watching this, if they ever see this, if they ever want a reprise of the Trailer Park Boys, like Greg says, I have a really good idea for a movie. It would be a lot
It
of fun.
is. I thought it was brilliant, and I always remembered it.
And we could get Via Rail to sponsor it. I'll just
There you
throw that in
go.
there. Yeah,
There
we
you
could
go.
get more
I
CN.
Yeah, I still love the Trailer Park Boys, and I find it
Yeah.
sad that in the States they talk about Wolf of Wall Street having the most profanity of any movie. I'm like, yeah, 400 and something. Swearing at the movie had 935 F-bombs. We here in Canada, we claim that. We're proud of our profanity.
Oh my gosh, people in England, like their vernacular, like they will say words that we wouldn't even think of saying. Like I'm gonna say it, but like they'll say, "Oh, go on, you cunt," and it's like over here that would be like, "You just called me what?" Like I really don't like that word. I don't even think that anybody that doesn't have one should be using that word. Like I kind of see it like the N bomb. Like if you don't
Hmm.
have one, don't say it. But over in England, like they have a completely different way of looking at that kind of language. So it's really fascinating to study different cultures. And I have 13 alien species. Well, actually, there's more than 13, but like there's 12 major alien species in my book that added to our genetic code. Let's say that's what Project Human is they came and they tinkered with our DNA. And that's all like clearly kind of outlined in the synopsis. I'm not like giving away anything that you can't
Yep.
get from reading the back of the book. But to have 12 different alien species trying to come here and influence us, I'm like, well, they wouldn't have just influenced our DNA, they would have influenced our way of life. So I started studying cultures. I've read the Popol Vuh, which is Mayan culture. I've read some Eric von Daniken, which is about like ancient aliens coming here, and which, you know, that plays into my book. The Bhagavad Gita. Oh, this is a thick read. Uh, the Ramayana. Yeah, there's some really, really cool ancient stuff in here. Um, the Tibetan Book of the Dead. I bet you've never seen a hardcover copy of this thing. The Book of Enoch, which is the original version of the Book of Genesis in the Bible, but the Book of Enoch was older and a whole lot more comprehensive and talks about angels coming down from the sky and humans intermixing with them and having offspring. And that's how we got giants on the earth, like the David and Goliath story. Like that's not a fake story. There actually were giants running around on the earth in the history of our planet. And there are texts that explain where all this came from. But if you don't go and do your research and really dig into that, there's a massive part of human history that we aren't taught. I don't know why. There's got to be a reason, but it's inconvenient to someone. And so we're not being told the truth at all. And so I went looking for the truth and found a whole lot more than what I expected. And it's just fascinating to take all these bits and be able to see, oh, you know, there's that ancient text. That's why that culture behaves in this way or believes this thing, or, you know, like that's what I'm really fascinated with, is how come we're all so different and we have such different beliefs, and it comes from thousands of years ago. And that's like really fascinating to me. And then, of course, the Mi'kmaq culture, the Wabanaki people, which is like all of the people of the eastern portion of this chunk of land that we call North America. They call Turtle Island. I'm calling it Turtle Island in order to honor, you know, they were here for 13,000 years. We've had archaeological evidence that has shown that they have been here for 13,000 years. What right did anyone have to come and just rename what they had already named? So, you know, here the Wabanaki people were on the east coast of Turtle Island, and they've been here for 13,000 years, and they believe that they came from the Pleiades. They star people brought them here and will come back to claim them someday. Like, their culture has been unchanged and passed down for 13,000 years. Who are we to say, oh no, that can't be the truth? They are closer to truth than anything that we have without them. And I'm really, someday I would love to be able to dig into and learn from the Maori people in Australia and New Zealand, because those indigenous people have a culture that's potentially unchanged for 60,000 years. Like, they have knowledge. Why would they share it with people who aren't, you know, being nice and kind and respecting their culture? But hopefully over the years, with my actions, I will be able to prove that I am worthy of also being a knowledge keeper. That's my goal.
Absolutely.
And to
You
bring
know,
respect where respect is due, because, you know, to survive in this climate without the trappings that we have now for 13,000 years, like, man, I gotta give props to the Wabanaki people. How the hell did y'all do that? We had some nasty winters here. Like, just blows my mind. I have so much respect and so much awe for these people.
absolutely, absolutely. One thing I wanted to bring up, because I know that you were part of the film scene here, and I did see American Sunset when it played at
Yes.
the Silver Wave Film Festival, and I know you played a bartender in it, and um, and of
I was
course,
also part of the crew too, as well.
yep. And Corey Haim, of course, this was, I think, his second to last film. I never met Corey Haim, you know, but I want to know if you would share, because I know you had met him. Did you not?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like, we became friends. He actually lost his credit card when he was in town. And because he didn't have a fixed address, they were going to be doing like a week in Moncton and then a week in Fredericton and then maybe a few days back in Moncton. He didn't really have anywhere that he could send a replacement credit card that he was sure he was going to get it. And I said to him and his mom, like, I mean, I was friends with his mom, still friends with his mom. And I said, you can send it to my house. Like, I don't have any worries with that. They sent his credit card to my house. So like, there was a level of trust there that was built up over working with him. But he was like a super, super nice guy, just really, really wanted to work. And I feel like he had, I mean, we know a lot about what's coming out in Hollywood, all of the abuse that's coming out in Hollywood. I'm
Yep.
not going to speak on his situation because he never told me anything, so it's not my business.
Hmm.
But I do know that he got into Hollywood at a very young age, which would have
Yep.
made him vulnerable. And he did get into drugs. He was not doing like the hard drugs when he was on set. Like, he was done with that, right? But it really messed up his life. And he just wanted to connect with people through his acting and through his art. And he just wanted to live a happy life. Like, he was a good dude. There's one day that he got pneumonia,
Hmm.
and it was a day when I wasn't scheduled to be working. And so I hung out with him for the day. And he was like the coolest, most down to earth, most like, I mean, he's from Toronto, so he's a Canadian, so he's not like, he fit in with all of us, you know what I mean? Like he was one of us. And he was just the nicest, most gentle soul. Like, I have nothing bad to say about the guy. There was actually some nonsense that went on set from someone else that was trying to bully me off set, and he went to bat for me. Like, and he had just met me like a week before, but like I said, like he needed help getting his credit card here, and I was like, not a problem for me. And like, yeah, it was wonderful to work with him. And I would say that the 90% of the people on that set were wonderful, and then you get one bad apple that spoils the bunch. But I mean, he ended up not getting his own way in the end. The bully, I'm not going to name his name, people who were on set know who he is, and he ended up not getting his own way. He couldn't get me kicked off set because the co-star, Frank Molina, said that I was necessary on set for him to help him get into character. And so if they don't have the actors, they don't have a movie. So he got mad and he stormed off set, and he told all his boys that he wanted them to go with him, and they didn't go with him.
Oh, Frank was great in this movie as well.
Oh, yes, I love Frank Molina. He's such a great person. I wish we had another film up in New Brunswick that we could like bring Frank up here again so that I could hang with him. He even did he brought the group in that was actors helping actors that we had at the film co-op, and he did like a coaching session with us because he's a professional actor, and he was like, well, I'm here, I might as well. Like, what a great guy. Like, just to share of his talents with people for no money, for no reason other than the fact that he loves acting and he wanted to share his talents. Like, I've worked with some amazing people.
And I remember Angela Collins in that too. I remember she was at the premiere, but I remember her in this as well. So, yeah.
I didn't really get to interact with her very much. Like, my role in the film was after she had been kidnapped. So my role in the film didn't cross paths with her. And then, when I was actually on crew, you leave the cast alone. They've got to be in character. They've got to be thinking about their lines. Like, I think a lot of people think that when you're an actor on set, it's like a big party, and it really isn't. Like, it's work. You have to, you're playing a person that isn't you, and you have to behave authentically under these imaginary circumstances. So you have to keep all those imaginary circumstances in your head. This person's been kidnapped. I'm under suspicion, whatever the situation is. You have to keep all of that in your head and then deliver the lines and still interact in an emotionally authentic way with everybody on set. So, when you're crew, you leave your actors alone. So I didn't really interact with Angela, but I'm sure she's a wonderful person.
I enjoyed American Sunset quite a bit, and I also remember you did Dark Radius because I've interviewed Gia Milani on here. I knew Gia's mom, who was a Fredericton High School teacher.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I knew Gia's dad because Gia's dad taught me math at Fredericton High School.
Yeah, he taught there as well. But I remember her mom had the coolest hair. And Gia said,
I've never met her mom.
Yeah, and Gia kept saying, "Yeah, I'm not doing that with my hair." Because her mom had gray hair, and I'm like, yeah, but your mom is so classy. Her mom was a class act. Yep.
Wow.
But yeah. I remember them.
Dark Radius, I had the short hair. That was the same year that I was on your podcast for the first time, because I had the short hair, because I still have photos from those photo sets. Just to set the scene for our viewers, we were I was in a kidnapped into a sex trafficking ring. That's what A Dark Radius is about. And my sister comes to break us out. So yeah, it was a dark film that we made there, but really, really high quality. It's amazing. Like, the film scene here in Fredericton makes a lot of high quality stuff.
Well, Gia did a movie called All the Wrong Reasons, and I had her on to promote that, and I really liked that movie a lot too, so it was nice to have Gia on here and talk about that. And of course, you worked with Jessica Holt in that movie, and I had a big crush on her at the time. She didn't like me though. That's okay.
I didn't know that you had a crush on her at the time. I found that out today. I had no idea.
Well,
You know what? Honestly, Greg, I had a crush on her too. So,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I had actually been going for it, you might have had some competition there.
Oh, you would have won. Look, nobody wants me chasing them.
Well,
But
I don't, but I mean, you say that, but I don't know if Jessica was into girls. So, I mean, you say that like it's I would have won,
well,
but
I
I mean,
guarantee you she
yes.
wasn't into me.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean she would have been into me either. I'm just saying I can relate because Jessica Holt is a beautiful woman.
Do you still see her? I don't know what she's doing now,
No,
but
I think she moved away, but I think that the intention was always to get into film industry, but like carpentry, like that was she really, really liked to build sets. That's what I do remember about her is that like I mean she was acting in A Dark Radius, but she was doing lots of other film work through the film co-op, and she was like she was building sets and stuff. Like I think she helped Chris Giles build his sets for Birth of a Nicola, but I could be wrong about that. But I think she was involved in that one too, because he rented the upstairs of the Charlotte Street Art Center and turned that whole auditorium into like multiple different film sets so that he could
hmm,
have all his equipment set up. And yeah, that was a really neat production too.
yeah. Nope, I remember her and of course Jim Lavoie, rest in peace. I remember, and all kinds. Of course, Josh Linton, I think, was in Dark Radius. Was he not?
Yes, he was. He was one of the bad guys. Yes,
Funny
yes.
seeing
He's
him
a
as a bad
very
guy.
versatile actor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bad guy, yeah, he was one of them that kidnapped us. Like he
Yeah,
was a
I
bad guy.
know, but it's hard to see him as a bad guy because he's such a humorous person in person.
But he's such a good actor that when
hmm
he does the bad guy, you believe it. That's
Yeah.
the thing. Like an actor like Meryl Streep who can disappear as Meryl Streep and become what's that French chef lady's name? Olivia Childs, right? Like Meryl Streep is like, and Johnny Depp, a master at disappearing and becoming the character. I feel Josh Linton is one of those because
Perfect.
he is a really, really, really nice, good person, and he plays a bad guy. Like you, what? Like, oh my god, I didn't know you had that in you, Josh. Yeah, he's really good.
There you go. There you go. Well, plug your book again and where people
Okay.
can get it. Yep.
If it's okay, I'm going to read the synopsis from the back
Oh,
so you
yeah,
can.
please go
Oh,
for
yeah.
it.
Olivia Carpenter hates her life. The kids at school bully her. Even her dad treats her like a disease. When Olivia runs away, she doesn't expect to be beamed up by telepathic aliens and transported halfway across the galaxy, where she discovers a universe teeming with intelligent life, including 12 alien species who have engineered human DNA to suit their needs. But not everyone wants Project Human to succeed. Caught in the crosshairs of a galactic tug of war, Olivia must unravel the mystery of her origins before she's silenced forever. Da, da, da. So, yeah, the big overview is like 13 alien species are fighting to control planet Earth because we are their science project. And that's kind of like the overarching thing for the whole series. This is book one in the series. Book two is already outlined. And as soon as I can, like, right now, I got the marketing hat on, right? Like, I got to market.
Nice.
Write a book. If you just put it out there, nobody's going to buy it. You have to create the buzz. As soon as I'm like done with that, I'm going to start writing book two. And it's already actually teased at the back of book one, if I can find the right page. Atlantis Rising is the
Nice. I
name.
like that. So
So,
how many are you doing?
well, the plan right now, like I know the overarching where the whole series is going. I know where it's ending. Right now, the plan is 12 books, which seems like a lot, but
Oh,
each one is meant
nice.
to be a deep dive into a different alien culture. So in this book, it's a deep dive into the culture of the Jinn, who are golden telepathic aliens who are about 4 feet tall. And they have an affinity with bees. They have like this hive mind kind of thing. Book two, Atlantis Rising is going to be about the Atlanteans. So Olivia is going to do a deep dive into their culture. in book 2. So I'm kind of right now thinking that each book will be a deep dive into one of these cultures. I don't know if the storyline that Olivia of her quest, I don't know if it will support 12 books. And I'm going to do what's best for the storyline. But right now, like, I have book 2 completely outlined and ready to go. Book 3, I already know what's happening. Book 4 is cooking in my head. Like, you have to be ahead of the game. And if I was publishing with a large publishing house, they would expect the exact same. They would want an outline of each of the novels so that they know where it's going before they publish the first one, I feel like. So I am running this as a complete professional, because, you know, if I don't put out a professional product, why would I expect people going to pay for it? Right? Like, so, and I'm writing the books that I want to read. That's kind of as simple as it is. Like, I feel like there needs to be this kind of Harry Potter meets Star Wars kind of epic galactic, you know, consequences, but connected to Earth. Star Wars was never connected to Earth, which is fine. Connected to Earth and connected to our history. So I'm kind of writing a new origin story for humans on planet Earth. And you know, like, I started, the way this all came about was I was watching Ancient Aliens, and I was seeing this, which, you know, some people have laughed when I said that, but I was seeing this evidence that we have been visited by flying saucers multiple times in history. If you look up flying saucers in medieval art, you're going to find, like, the 1300s and the 1400s and the 1500s, they're painting paintings of, like, flying saucers beaming a light down into, like, Mary's head. Like, it's there, and it's really, the fact that it was there and that the Vatican allowed that and didn't take those people and toss them in jail says to me, okay, like, this was really going on and it was accepted at the time, and now we don't want to talk about it, but I want to talk about it. So I kind of saw that stuff on Ancient Aliens, and then I started looking up some of the evidence, like these paintings. And then also there's, like, hieroglyphs in the pyramids in Egypt of, like, a helicopter and a submarine and a UFO. Like, how did they know what a helicopter and a submarine and a UFO were going to look like when they were building the pyramids, like, what, 7,000 years ago? Like, unless they actually had those machines and saw those machines. So the evidence that I'm seeing, and then don't even get me started on the translations that Zechariah Sitchin did of the ancient Sumerian texts, because he was like 50-year scholar. There have been people who've said, oh, he mistranslated that stuff. Okay, can you do a better job? Because it seems like all the people that say Zechariah Sitchin didn't know what he was talking about actually aren't experts in ancient Sumerian, which he was. He grew up in Palestine. He knew the languages of the area. He was a scholar in all of these ancient languages, and he was able to translate these Sumerian texts that say aliens came down and messed with our DNA to make a slave race to mine gold for them. Like, that's their known backstory. Who are we to say that they were full of it? Like, we're full of it if we're discounting their, this is their knowledge. This was important enough for them to record and pass down to us. Like, we can't just throw that out with the bathwater. So there's so much out there. There's so much knowledge that's not mainstream, that's absolutely fascinating. And that's where this book came from, was seeing all of that and saying, you know, I don't know if this is fact or fiction, but I sure as hell can write a really good science fiction novel using this. And that's what I've done. So then people will have, like, all of this kind of, some of the ancient stuff, but, like, delivered in a way that's fun and interesting and not so serious.
Absolutely, absolutely. Do you have any charities that you want to plug and promote on here that you're involved with?
Okay, so I used to be involved with Kids Help Phone when I
Hmm.
was doing my album. I was an artist ambassador for Kids Help Phone back,
Hmm.
you know, like I say, 17 years ago. So I'd still like to plug them, because any children that are in trouble or experiencing suicidal thoughts and stuff, like I have compassion for all people who
Mm-hmm.
are in times of trouble, but children really need the resources because they don't know where else to turn. And if, especially if it's problematic in the home, they really can't escape. The only thing that they have is a person on the other end of the phone. So Kids Help Phone is really, really important. I'd like to plug that one. And my big thing that upsets me right now that I want us to pay more attention to is murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls.
Yeah.
There's been so many Indigenous women and girls who have gone missing, who have been murdered, and I feel like those lost lives are not being taken seriously by the authorities because they're not the right skin color. And that is disgusting to me. We need, like if a white girl goes missing, we see it on the news. If a white guy goes missing, oh my God, we see it on the news. Why aren't the Indigenous people given the same respect? And it drives me nuts. Like, there was this story about this police officer that went up to he went on a mental wellness check up near Edmundston to this girl who was Indigenous, and he knocked on her window at night, and she came to the door with a knife. You know what? If someone knocks on my window at night, I'm coming to the door with a knife. You know why? Because I'm a woman, and I know that's not safe. And he's this dude with all of this uniform on and stuff. Well, like, look what happened in Nova Scotia with the guy that was pretending to be a police officer. I mean, if I had been her, I wouldn't have answered the door at all. I just wouldn't have answered the door, period. But she answered the door and got shot for it. And he's not being held responsible at all. Every single police officer out there needs training that you don't go knocking on someone's window at 2:00 in the morning for a mental wellness check. What the heck is that?
Yeah.
That's like an invitation to violence. That never should have happened. And maybe he felt threatened and he pulled his gun, but he's got a gun. She's got a knife. Just walk away, get in your car and drive off. Why did you need to shoot her? This stuff has to stop. So
Yep.
that's really where my proclivities lie right now. And a very impassioned answer to your question is like, we need to start honoring and respecting our Indigenous brothers and sisters because this crap has to stop.
Well, talk about your book launch and where people can get your book.
Okay, so I have a website that
Mhm.
is www.projecthumanbooks.com. So, if you can remember the name Project Human, just throw books on the end of it and you'll find me there. You can, like, on the very, very homepage of my website, you can sign up for my newsletter, but I'm not sending out newsletters. Like, I'm not bombarding people with nonsense that they don't need to read. But anybody who does sign up will get chapter 1 and chapter 8 for free, because there have been a lot of times when someone has said to me, oh, you really need to read this book. And I start reading the book and I can't stand it. And I think it's the author's writing style. So I want to make sure that if people are thinking of buying my book, that they can try before you buy. They can have 2 chapters and they can read my writing style and see if they actually like the way I write. I don't want anyone to buy my book and then not enjoy it. Like, I really don't want that. There's so many books out there. Everybody should be able to find a book. Every single time you want a book, you should be able to find a book that you like. And so I want to make sure that people who read my book like my writing first and foremost. So if you sign up for my emails, you'll get an email. I haven't put those chapters out yet. That's coming in the next couple weeks before the end of August. Mm-hmm. And then I've got my Kickstarter page almost completely built. I just have to give them all my banking information. Just you got to look all that stuff up ahead of time. And so I'm going to be launching my Kickstarter mid-September, and it's going to be a 30-day campaign. So the easiest way to stay in touch is either through my website, or if you go on Facebook and look up my Facebook group, which is called, I think it's at Project Human Books, but you can also just search Project Human and look, you'll find my book, because my picture, my cover art is pinned there and everything. So if you find the wrong place, you just keep looking and you'll find me. But that's the best way to keep in touch and to find out more about when the book's going to be launched. Everybody who buys the book through Kickstarter, it's going to be like very clearly first edition copy. So I want to make sure that the people who support me through Kickstarter get that first edition copy that, you know, might be worth something someday. It's only going to be available in this paperback format. I'm not doing hardcover. I'm not doing an ebook because I'm doing this all on my own, and every single different format requires a lot of work. And so I really just want to be able to get the next book. Like, the people who read this and like it are going to want book 2. So if I spend like 6 months trying to figure out how to format something to ebook, then I'm like,
You know what? I'm a physical media kind of guy too. So
yeah.
I mean, I've never read an ebook. Any books I have physical here, you know.
Yeah. And I know there are a lot of people who like ebook, and I know that there are people who are going to be upset about this. But the other thing is that I've seen independent authors victimized because they put out an ebook, somebody steals it, like somebody buys it, but then rips the PDF out of that, puts it back online and sells it, and or puts it on a pirate site. And there have been people who have been like delisted from Kindle Unlimited, Amazon Kindle Unlimited, because their book was available on a pirate site, and that site is on a server in another country that doesn't obey our laws, and they can't get it taken down. So they can no longer sell their ebook on Kindle Unlimited. So Kindle Unlimited takes it down, and then the only place that people can find their book is on the pirate site. So why put it out that way at all, right? Like, until we get our technology together that you can't steal an ebook, I just won't be making them, because I put a lot of effort into writing a really good book. I have had 3 people so far tell me that this book has multiple layers, that they get more out of it the second time they read it, because there's things at the beginning that you don't realize are important until you get to the end, but they have to be there because it's a cohesive story. So, you know, like, it's like an onion. There's all these layers to peel back. And I work really, really, really hard to make a really, really, really good story. So I feel like it's fair to ask for people to buy it instead of steal it online. And so I'm not doing an ebook.
There you go. There you go.
But anybody
Well,
that wants to buy it, it's not going to be super expensive. It's the same quality that you get when you buy a book of chapters, you know. So yeah,
mm-hmm,
try it.
absolutely. We should excuse me, we should meet sometime and I could buy one from you.
Okay. Well, I
Abs
don't, this just to show you, this is the printed proof copy.
mm-hmm.
So I had this one copy printed so that I can like go through and say, oh, I have an issue with this, or this. And actually, if I can find a good page. Yeah. So I feel like the top margin is very small compared to the amount of space at the bottom. That's because of the number. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
actually, before I print them for sale, I'm going to increase the top margin and decrease the bottom margin by the same amount. So the pages will be exactly the same words, but it's just going to drop down a little bit. Just makes it look a little bit better. It makes it look more professional. And that's what I want to give people. I want to give people a truly professional product.
Don't blame you.
So the actual physical copies won't be available until after the Kickstarter is finished, because people on Kickstarter, they have the option to buy the book, but there's also going to be an option to become what I call a foundational supporter of the Project Human series. So, and I actually already have my first foundational supporter who's supporting, like, who's doing that, and the Kickstarter hasn't even launched yet. But for $150, people will get, like, the book is 18 plus shipping, but if people want to be foundational supporters, $150 will get them a copy of the book, and there will be a page at the front right after this that will list the foundational supporters, and that will be in every book that I ever print of like Project Human Book 1. All those foundational supporters will be there. So people who want to support the arts, they're going to want to see their names in the book. So I can't give books out ahead of the Kickstarter printing. So
Absolutely.
if you're still in Fredericton, and I mean, we'll still get together, but if you're in Fredericton, I can hand deliver it to you. And if you're in Toronto, then we can just have it shipped to your house.
What, you won't hand deliver it in Toronto?
I don't know. I'm not, I haven't been for a while though. I do like the city, so it's good for a
You're
visit.
not gonna knock on my apartment door at 2 a.m.
No, I'm not gonna knock on your apartment door at 2 a.m, fully dressed with a flak jacket and a gun sitting on my hip, saying, "I'm just checking to see if you're okay."
Are you
God,
still interested in the book?
like I heard all that story in the media, and I'm like, I would have gone to the door with a knife too. Like,
Yep.
to sleep with a knife under my mattress, for crying out loud. These people that are saying, "Oh, I wasn't a threat to her," you don't know what was a threat to her. You're not walking around in her head. You haven't lived her experience. I
No.
mean, all of that's experience as a woman, and I've been accosted. I mean, I don't say attacked, because when people attack me, they get attacked back, and they don't realize that shit's coming, because girl knows how to handle herself. But I've been accosted 2 times in Fredericton, 1 time in it was Montreal, in broad daylight. Guy grabbed me and started groping my boobs. He got a kick upside his butt, and I think I hit the nuts. I hit him really hard that he came right off the ground. You don't touch me without permission, buddy. But like,
Yep.
that's my experience, and I'm a white woman. I have no idea what her experience has been as an Indigenous woman. Don't knock on her window at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yep. I agree.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I got a soapbox when it comes to that, like, Japers.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I've got a soapbox when it comes to injustices as well,
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
faced them as well.
yeah.
But nonetheless, the book is Project Humans, and check out Bea Waters and Project Human Books.com.
Yes, projecthumanbooks.com. And
There
I'm
you
gonna
go.
I'm gonna keep that website going for all of these. So, like, if you sign up for the email, you'll start getting updates when it's like, "Ooh, I'm getting ready to release book 2." People will be like, "Ooh," but I mean, don't wait to buy book 1. If you put your email in and you like the writing, get book 1 while you can get the first edition copy, because at the end of the series, if you've got all first edition copies, like, how cool is that? Like, if I could have got a first edition copy of the first book of Harry Potter, how cool would that be right now? You know what I mean? Like, so don't wait and think, "Oh, I'll just wait until the series is over," because once the series is over, you ain't gonna get the first edition copies anymore. So get them today.
Absolutely.
Not today, but get them in September.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, before I let you go, would you mind doing a plug for my show?
Absolutely. What would you like? You're listening to Python's Paradise kind of thing?
Yeah, just state your name and that you're the author of Project Humans, and say you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
Hi, I'm Bronwyn, pen name Bea Waters, the author of young adult science fiction space odyssey Project Human, and you are listening to Greg on Python's Paradise.
Absolutely. It's great to see you, after
You
all this
too.
time.
I know. I
Yeah.
know.
I think the last time I saw you was when I actually went to I think I was doing something with EI because I had worked at my family business for 19 years, and then my father come down with ALS and had to sell the business, and I went on AI or EI, excuse me, and that was the fall of 2017.
Yeah, and I worked
And
at Service Canada.
during that time, um, a Canadian actress, Lisa Langlois, invited me to assist her at Horrorama in Toronto, and it was my first time out in New Brunswick. First time on a plane. First, like, and she met me, and I stayed a week. But during that week, she taught me about how to use the subways and the streetcars and all this Toronto culture, and I fell in love with Toronto. And she and I are still in touch, you know.
Nice.
Yeah, yep. So I'm assisting her again this fall, and yeah, it's been just awesome. And it's funny because I would get homesick going to Moncton or St. John. How weird was it that I went to Toronto and didn't want to come back?
It just depends on the vibe you get from the place you're in, right? Like the type of stuff that you're into.
Hmm.
Toronto is such a good scene for that. I'm like really excited that hopefully someday my book series will be big enough that I'll be invited to one of these con events, right? Like that. Because
Oh
they are, I
yeah.
am creating characters that are like, cartoonish. If we ever do this as a TV series, it's going to have to be like kind of animated because none of my aliens are like, they don't I mean, some of them look like people, but not not the same size as people. Like they're either 10 feet tall or they're 4 feet tall, or.
Oh, Josh
So
Linton can do it.
Josh Linton can do anything.
Maybe you can get Bubbles in there from the Trailer Park Boys.
Ooh, ooh. Well, if I can get Bubbles from the Trailer Park Boys, I want to do the Trailer Park Boys movie.
You know what? I would like to see that. You had a great concept there,
Yeah, it's fun.
you
I have a lot
know?
of good concepts, but that's the thing. You have to like making a film is really hard. I'm sitting on like 5 completed film worthy scripts that haven't been made into films. And it's like, why would I keep writing stuff that's not getting made? But if I write books and I self publish them, I'm the one responsible for getting that out there. And if I fail, it's on me. It's not, oh, I wasn't lucky enough to meet the right person at the right time who saw the genius in that script. So I'm just doing my own thing now. And if I ever get back into film, it's going to be because people are approaching me saying, ooh, we really like your writing. Do you have any film scripts? And I'll be like, here's one that I've already done. Like I'm not gonna be entertaining writing new stuff on spec. I've done enough of that. Now the
Absolutely,
stuff that I
absolutely.
write on spec is gonna be published. So
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you know what? It was wonderful having you come on here today, and stay in touch. It's been nice reconnecting with you, and yeah, good luck in the future. And maybe next year around this time, I'm gonna have you back on to see how things are going with possible book two.
yeah, yeah. I have to get the marketing of this one done. And then, but yeah, like I said, book 2 is ready to start being written. But the thing is, when I start diving into it, I just want to like get really into it and not be doing other things. So, I mean, I have a desire to start the writing, but I know it will consume me and then I won't do the marketing. So I just have to put that off until once the Kickstarter launches and we're halfway through it, I can probably start writing the next one.
Absolutely. Well, you keep creating, and we'll be in touch. You have yourself a wonderful, spectacular day.
Thank you. You too, hun.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.